Christian Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Comfort in the Ashes, Explorations in the Book of Job to Support Trauma Survivors, by Michelle K. Keener. Foreword by Scott McKnight. Narrated by Nan McNamara. Foreword. Scott McKnight. It only takes two skills to agree with the core of Michelle Keener's book. One, a basic understanding of trauma, and two, an empathic imagination. One cannot read Job's opening chapter and not feel the man's pain. It takes more than imagination not to think he was traumatized. Trauma is a response to an event, an experience, or a culture that overwhelms and threatens a person's identity, security, and safety. I like how Michelle says it. Trauma is an event that goes beyond our ordinary capacity for coping and functioning. Trauma devastates. It dismantles. Trauma is defined a little more expansively by SAMHSA when they say trauma results from an event, series of events, or set of circumstances that is experienced by an individual as physically or emotionally harmful or life-threatening, and that has lasting adverse effects on the individual's functioning and mental, physical, social, emotional, or spiritual well-being. Job fits the description. He was a trauma survivor. We tend to idealize the Bible's heroic characters, like Abraham or Sarah, Moses, David, Jeremiah, Mary, Paul, and Peter. But a little empathic imagination about Sarah leads us to think that when Abraham foolishly handing her off when in Egypt, that must have traumatized her. David's own exile from power and potential must have led him not only to his knees in prayer, but to that telltale sign of trauma, a feeling of being overwhelmed and threatened. Jeremiah wept and mourned and complained like someone who knows chronic trauma. I wonder how the rejections of Jesus Mary witnessed in Galilee and the bloody, humiliating crucifixion of her son affected her. What was life like for her from that fateful Friday evening to the first report of her son's resurrection? Surely she was overwhelmed and feared for her own safety. Paul's erratic words in the last few chapters of 2 Corinthians manifest the experience of trauma. I, too, wonder about Peter's reunion with the apostles between the evening of his betrayals and the vindication of his calling at Pentecost. One doesn't have to be a psychologist to at least wonder if these major figures were at times traumatized. This is why Michelle Keener's study about Job is a wonderful example of what is hiding in plain sight for us all to see. Job's wordlessness and discourses, frustrations and stubbornness, not to mention his anger and vehemency, are boilerplate signs of trauma. Once we cross the threshold of the diagnosis, we simply can't let it go. Job becomes a real human with real experiences and real confusion and real crippling, traumatic feelings. We feel his sense that he's a victim and that he aches for justice. Telling his story over and over, as Job does, takes us into the therapist's office who knows clients will need to tell their story all over again. Trauma, Michelle reminds us all, is not our fault. It is our body's response to an experience that was too much for us. A tragic event, a death, a divorce, a disaster, can be experienced in different ways. But for some, the tragedy is embodied in trauma. Trauma lurks in our body and at times is triggered by a sound, a voice, a memory, a perception that the old threat has not left. The church needs us to humanize the Bible's characters. They are like us, far more than unlike us. Our trauma is theirs, and theirs can be ours. Michelle probes Job's life in a way that makes him far more like us than we might realize. His desire for order, his silences, his shocking turns of phrase, his irascibility and venting, his impatience with his friends, his shifts from one strategy to another, and his claims of righteousness sound so much like our yearnings for order and venting, silences, laments, shifts, choices.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?